6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Welcome into Weather Extra. We've changed gears a little bit this week. We've shifted into more of a stormy weather mode. We had that risk in some of those severe storms Sunday. Today we started out with a little bit of rainfall, and now it looks like as we get into the setup for tomorrow, could be some strong storms around early in the day. Let's get you updated on those First Alert weather headlines. Very stormy next couple days and right on through Thursday, and some of the storms may be severe. Actually, rain chances are going to stay with us through the weekend. So I think for now at least, we have broken out of that drier spell that we were in. Some of those rainfall rates, of course, when you're talking strong storms, high reflectivity, intense rainfall, you get in the summer months like this, you can get 3 to 4 inch per hour rainfall rates, and it doesn't take long for that to cause some flooding. So some trouble spots possible where some of the heavier rain sets up. But radar is much quieter right now for our area. The storms move south. The severe threat for right now has ended for us for this evening, but late tonight the risk comes back after midnight and into tomorrow morning. We got some new data that shows after midnight, that's when the storms could start popping up. So plan for the possibility of some early morning noisemakers. Look at this, 2 a.m. possibility around Centerville and Greene County, so some lightning and maybe even some strong storms in the mix there. I know this is early in the day, but still could have some gusty winds and maybe a strong storm or two out of this early on. But pretty good chance of rain in the morning. And then, the big question for tomorrow is, after we get all this rain, all this storm activity early in the day, how well does the atmosphere rebound during the day if we start to heat up enough to where we start to get some redevelopment tomorrow afternoon? That's when you really get into that possibility of some stronger thunderstorms and some gusty winds. And tomorrow evening as well, we'll have that risk there for some storms. If we don't see new development in the afternoon, looks like it could certainly come back for tomorrow night. But here's the thing, there's a risk outlooks across the state. We've got slight enhanced risk, but if you were anywhere in the coverage area, I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. The big thing you need to know is every location has a risk for some damaging wind gusts with any strong storms that materialize, and that's going to go through the end of the week and weekend. Not only tomorrow, large hail, damaging wind gusts, could be some intense lightning. Certainly a more stormy pattern compared to what we've been in. You can see the Storm Prediction Center, just like Sunday night, they've highlighted an enhanced risk for parts of the area. Certainly, we could see a greater number of those warnings in areas further south, but just be alert all across the area, just in case tomorrow morning. Give yourself some extra drive time. Could be a messy commute there early in the day. Coming up, though, we're going to walk you through the rest of the week, talk about those rain chances as we get into the Juneteenth holiday weekend, Father's Day weekend coming up, how El Nino's shaking up the weather pattern. And we'll talk about those Canadian wildfires, give you an update on what's happening there. And energy concerns in Texas, interesting story. We'll have a lot more for you right here. We go beyond the 7 day as we continue on Weather Extra.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Good Day, Alabama.
A new morning comes with preparing right, because while you slept, news broke.
We have new information from that breaking news that happened this morning.
While you head out, the storm we gave you the first alert for is on its way in. And as the key turns the ignition, your shorter route to work is being found.
Avoid 459 southbound completely because of a crash.
A new morning means everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama, always on your side.
The First Alert traffic you need to get you there safe and on time. Tomorrow morning, everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama.
You're late, out the door, and on the go. Don't worry.
Good Day, Alabama continues all morning long.
And wherever you watch, this is what you need to know right now.
More reporters on the streets with more hours of news when you need it. Everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama. knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. We have a very unusual active summer weather pattern in place. You don't see events like this too often. So what could be the cause behind that? We have Matt Daniel explain.
Well, it's been a very active weather pattern. We've had this energy across the southeast, and this is all thanks to a jet stream, the subtropical jet stream producing energy, giving us rounds of showers and storms. And usually when we start seeing the subtropical jet stream become active across the southeast, that means we have a developing El Nino, and that is exactly what is happening. So the National Weather Service, NOAA, has issued an El Nino advisory saying El Nino is here and is likely to intensify over the next several months going into the winter months. And of course, El Nino can cause a lot of different weather patterns thanks to trade winds and different weather patterns. Some places across the globe could see or experience drier than average conditions, producing drought. Others could see lots of heavy rain and even some active severe storms. So here it is. This is the area we've been watching over the past several months. We were in a La Nina, but these waters have really warmed in parts of the central Pacific Ocean. Look at those colors going well above average, indicating an El Nino has formed. So it looks pretty significant, and once again that could create significant problems around the globe as it continues to intensify. Not only are we monitoring El Nino, we're also monitoring the Atlantic temperatures along the sea surface temperatures, and they are unusually warm for the middle of June. In fact, some of those temperatures are just as warm as you would see in the peak of a hurricane season in September. So when you have a lot of warm sea surface temperatures, that's usually a sign that we could have an active hurricane season. However, with an El Nino, normally we'll see more wind shear increase across the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, which typically means less hurricane activity. When you got a lot of wind blowing into a system, it's hard for it to organize. It gets sheared and it stays weak. So we're hoping that will be the case for the hurricane season over the next several months. And then normally you'll see less wind shear. The Eastern Pacific usually gets pretty active. Sort of a seesaw effect. But what happens is you get those weaker trade winds, warmer water temperatures, higher moisture content, and that creates the wind shear across the Caribbean and into the Atlantic. So it's a lot of confusion there when it comes to these hurricane outlooks. You've got warmer temperatures than expected in the Atlantic, but yet you've got the El Nino. So average season, we'll see 14 named storms, 7 of those becoming hurricanes, and out of those 7, 3 major hurricanes, which a major hurricane is a Cat 3, 4, 5. Well, NOAA's outlook is showing a near average season because they're taking into account the El Nino that's forming, but also the impacts of very warm ocean temperatures. So 12 to 17 is what they're looking at. 5 to 9 of those could become hurricanes, and 1 to 4 of those could become major hurricanes. So here's the odds. Obviously, the odds, they're mainly going 40% chance it's going to be a near normal season. And they're splitting the difference between it being below average and above average. I will say this, it only takes one storm. If it's in an ideal area with very warm waters and the wind shear is lacking, it could greatly intensify fast. So the Colorado State, they also put out their outlooks for the season. Their June forecast showing 15 named storms, 7 of those becoming hurricanes and 3 of those becoming major hurricanes. So we're really going to pay close attention to El Nino. We're going to pay close attention to those ocean water temperatures because that could cause pretty big forecast changes and lots of things happening around the globe. So we'll keep you updated on that El Nino, and of course we'll monitor the hurricane season, which by the way officially peaks as we go into September and comes to an end on November 30th.
Thanks, Matt. Great information there. And with this active weather pattern in place, not only are folks in the southeast dealing with it, but also in Colorado. Communities there had to deal with severe thunderstorms on Monday. The city of Boulder was hit with intense rain and hail, and that led to street flooding in the central part of the city. In Colorado Springs, the municipal airport saw nearly 5.5 inches of rain in one day. According to the Colorado Springs Fire Department, floodwaters rose so high that some places had water up to their cars' bumpers. While moving away from storms, it's a record wildfire season in Canada. In Alberta, 1.4 million hectares have been burned so far, and at least 24 fires are out of control. And that's just in Western Canada. Across the country, hundreds of wildfires are burning. As Vanessa Lee reports, experts say the best way to deal with this issue is to start battling the flames long before they start raging.
Home sweet home for thousands in this northern Quebec community. Forced to flee nearly a week ago, their town was spared from the flames. I couldn't wait to see if my house was okay. Not just safe from fire, but vandalism too. Quebec is making progress in its battle against a record wildfire season, with help from as far away as Portugal and Mexico.
This is our first time fighting fires for a while. Good.
In addition to troops with the Canadian Armed Forces. Emergency response is managed by each province. With hundreds of fires so early in the season, resources have been stretched thin. The Minister of Emergency Preparedness was asked today if a national firefighting service is needed.
We are always looking for ways, working with the provinces and territories, on how we can better support them in their firefighting efforts. And as well, we're looking at investments that we can make in training additional firefighters.
But experts say more resources are needed for fire prevention.
We're playing catch up because we've had this 100 years of fire suppression that we now need to deal with in a very short time period.
Prescribed burning, which is the intentional use of fire on a specific area, is one strategy used to reduce wildfire risks.
It helps clean up much of the dead and dense fuel that we have in our forests.
Any action comes too late for Andrew Vey, desperate to recover anything from the home he shared with his wife and 2 children outside of Halifax. Remarkably, he found some of his Navy medals.
They're burnt up, but there's something. Thought maybe if I could take one small thing away at least for each person, if I could find something, then, maybe put it in the next house.
Likely to continue in Canada. The fire season there has just started, and as we've seen, it's already breaking records. That means more Americans could see more days like this. The Canadian Forest Service is predicting the fire season, which lasts all summer, is going to be worse than usual. Since the fires are often started by lightning or fueled by dry weather and happen in rural areas, there's just not much anyone can do to stop them. For people who live on the eastern seaboard in the U.S., that does mean that hazy skies could return. Well, coming up on First Alert Weather Extra, Matt was telling us more about the impacts of El Nino, and Wes will give us a look at the futurecast for this unsettled pattern in store, bringing the possibility of severe weather tomorrow. And I'll take you beyond the 7-day to let you know if we have more typical summer weather on the cards for us. We'll be right back.
If your bath looks like this or this, you know it's time for a replacement. Hey everybody, Joe here with BJ Worzen, owner of West Shore Home, to talk about how he's making sure you get the best possible value on your shower or bath replacement. BJ.
That's right, Joe. Now more than ever, I want to make sure people are getting the most for their money. And there's a few ways we're doing that. First, we have hundreds of styles and options for your bath remodel, so you can make sure you're getting exactly what you want. Second, as you know, we only use employee installers, never subcontractors. So our crew is going to follow a process to make sure everything is installed properly. And then finally, a few days after the job's done, we're going to give you a call and make sure you're 100% completely satisfied with that experience.
Amazing, because a lot of contractors will show up and the second they're done, the customer's on their own. You're saying West Shore is there every step of the way, even following up after the project's done.
You got that right, and it's all backed by our online reviews. Right now, we have over 26,000 5-star reviews.
That just shows how much you truly care about your customers. Now, how about somebody who needs that shower right now but has been putting it off because of cost? How can you help them?
So we're making bath remodel affordable for almost any budget. For a limited time, you can get your shower or bath remodeled for only $99 a month. And for anyone's watching this commercial right now, if you call in and mention it, we're going to throw in free installation as well.
You're saying you'll do the entire project from tear out to complete installation for as low as $99 a month.
That's right. Let's take a look at the project. Here's a time-lapse video of one of our installations. You saw there, we started in the morning, removed everything down to the studs, and put in a new shower all in the same day. Here's some more. Easy low-step showers, deep soaking tubs, beautiful wall styles, and modern accessories. We can do jobs like these for as low as $99 a month.
BJ, thanks so much. Folks, West Shore Home is making shower and bath remodeling more affordable than ever. Call now and take advantage of this extended offer. Get your new shower or bath for as low as $99 a month. And you heard BJ, if you call in now, he's going to do free installation on that project as well. Call the experts at West Shore Home now.
Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. We had kind of a dry spell going on for a while for a lot of areas, but now you can see those rain chances are certainly more elevated, not only for the next couple of days, but through the weekend and into the start of next week. A more active west to northwest flow sort of set up, as Matt was noting, those upper air winds a bit more supportive of transporting in some of those clusters of storms over the next couple of days. And it's important in a setup like this, it's so tricky to kind of time out these complexes of storms. Check in with us daily as we fine-tune the timing. We do have a pretty good handle on the next wave of rain and storms, which is going to move in late tonight. We're talking after midnight. Right now we're catching a break in the wet weather, but here it comes. You can see back to the west. We have several watches and things happening back to the west. And you know what can happen here a lot of times, you get these storms that can actually change the environmental conditions. So you get a lot of rain and storms in the morning. It could impact just how much we see tomorrow afternoon. So that's another part of the equation that we have to consider there for tomorrow. But one thing I want to point out, this is the lightning forecast, or high resolution 3-kilometer BAMS data, and it's suggesting after midnight that there could be some noisemakers. So I'm giving you that sleep forecast, the first alert there for some loud rumbles during the early morning. Some storms certainly possible out there. Could we see a severe storm in the early morning? It's a possibility, certainly. I think, you know, if this was moving in the afternoon, that would even further increase the risk of some stronger storms. So that's showing 9 o'clock in the morning. Again, still some stormy weather early in the day, but if that takes a lot of the energy out of the air, could impact just how much we see in the afternoon. But if those temperatures are able to recover, upper 70s back in the low 80s, you know, it starts getting steamy out there, the storms could start popping again, and that's why you can see here by 6 o'clock tomorrow night some of the data suggesting, yeah, look out tomorrow night, tomorrow evening, we're going to see some more development happening. So next 24 hours on the forecast radar again tonight. If you have plans through late evening, we should be in okay shape at the earliest. Some of the data has this maybe moving in around 1 o'clock in the morning, but this is some of the better guidance that we have, and this is showing basically 3 a.m. through Good Day, Alabama tomorrow morning. Storms moving in. So check in with Matt's going to be in tomorrow morning. Toy, lots of updates. I'd factor in some extra drive time. But the more intense storms more than likely will set up a bit closer to perhaps Highway 80, certainly south of I-20, but some wet roadways, and you can see a pretty good indication of most areas getting some rain, at least for the first part of the day, and then maybe a break in the action later in the day. And this shows maybe a couple of pop-ups there around 1 o'clock, but certainly not as much as the morning round of rain and storms. And then here it comes again tomorrow night. Possibility of some strong storms. And you look at the data and you see those reds, and you see those areas, see those almost like little black circles there showing up in the forecast data. What that's telling us, the guidance here suggesting, hey, there's a chance, pretty good chance we could see some hail with some of these storms, and not only the quarter-size type, but maybe even golf ball to baseball-size hailstones with any of those stronger storms that develop. So that's a big risk with some of the storms that we're seeing out there. There's a 10 a.m. on Thursday, shows maybe another break before some more wet weather could come back. So we've got these off and on storm complexes impacting the area. Certainly the coverage has ramped up, and you can back off on watering the garden and maybe adjust that irrigation system in the front yard to kind of hold off a little bit over the next few days as we do have more rain in the forecast. And that's the way it works around here. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan, you either can't get a drop of rain, or when it rains, it pours, right?
Yeah, Wes, that's right. Certainly, I think that's the case we're going to be seeing here this week especially. But as far as temperatures, you know, with this unsettled weather pattern in place, it's actually going to be keeping our temperatures more closer to average. In some spots, maybe a little below average with it being wet and having more clouds around. But as we look at that 8 to 10 day temperature outlook, you will notice here in areas like Birmingham, parts of Alabama, especially especially the western 2/3 of the state. That's where we could be seeing the possibility of temperatures running above average. And then as we look at those high temperatures, what exactly that could look like? Well, it does show that possibly once we get past beyond the 7-day, maybe get into next weekend and beyond, we could see the possibility of more 90s back in the forecast, kind of more what we would expect this time of the year. And of course, we do expect with this wetter pattern, it can get a little cooler in the afternoons, but in the morning hours, if you have more clouds around, that can certainly make it muggy, and you can see morning lows hanging out in the 60s. So low temperatures aren't really much to call home about during the summer months. We expect it to be mild and muggy on the summer mornings. Just a question of how hot it's going to be during the afternoons. But as we look at that future rainfall outlook across the southeast, the possibility of above average precipitation. But we've been talking about a wet pattern here, and there were some storms as well this past weekend in Texas. But now Texas is under the gun with some heat. Temperatures are on the rise in the Lone Star State, so it's taking a lot of power to run air conditioning. So much so that some Texas officials are concerned about a record energy demand. William Joy reports.
With parts of North Texas hitting 100 over the weekend, we're all searching for relief in water or inside.
That extra degree or two of heat is causing, that extra 1,000 megawatts to be needed. That can be the difference between outages and not.
Doug Lewin writes a Texas Energy and Power newsletter and does not expect outages this week. But both he and ERCOT are expecting record demand on the grid.
We're going to have very few years that aren't extreme years going forward. That's just the new reality.
Headed into summer, record demand is 80 gigawatts set last July. ERCOT expected peak demand this summer to be 82.7 gigawatts. Now, in just the second week of June, they expect 81.8 this Friday at 5 p.m.
This is going to continue to be a problem. They're going to continue to underpredict.
Lewin says outages usually happen for 3 reasons: high demand, unexpected outages, and low-performing solar and wind. And while demand will be high this week, outages are expected to come down, and solar should perform very well.
Every time we break a record, that represents a failure, because we are not implementing energy efficiency solutions. We are not implementing demand response solutions.
Lewin says both a lack of efficiency and no system beyond asking people to conserve power is a bad path, considering the state's growth and global warming.
It's like I tell my kids, focus on the things you can control. You can't control the wind, but you can control demand side, storage, all of these kinds of things.
With a week of 100-degree temps in the forecast, both Texans and our grid could be searching for relief. In Dallas, I'm William Joy.
And speaking of heat, a new report finds one of the world's most important cooling systems is shrinking. Deep ocean water in the Antarctic is getting warmer. The coldest, saltiest water on the planet absorbs 90% of the world's excess heat and almost a third of human-produced carbon pollution. Scientists found the volume of cold water in the Weddell Sea has shrunk by 20% over the past 3 decades. The reason is because wind in the area is weakening. When that wind can't blow ice away from the ice shelf, gaps can't form on the water's surface that allow more ice to form. This specific change is thought to be due to natural climate variability, but combined with other changes potentially linked to human activity like melting ice, the impact is compounded. The new study was published Monday by the British Antarctic Survey. So as we go into the week, we have been talking more and more about that unsettled pattern in the forecast. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt will join you back here tonight on First at 9 for an update on the latest timing and threats we're expecting with those rounds of severe weather for tomorrow. And you can join us here on Weather Extra every weeknight at 6:30. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Have a safe and happy Tuesday evening.